Now this top 10 isn't your average top 10. Oh no. Hi, I'm Gabby and welcome back to another edition of the Fragrantician, where here on my channel we talk about nothing but fragrances. So if that's your jam, or if that's your pickle, or if that's your butter, then stay tuned. I am doing a tag video, and although I wasn't tagged directly, I was invited to do the tag as a YouTube content creator by Stephen at Red Essence. Now if you haven't seen Stephen from Red Essence, he is a godfather of fragrance reviews, and if I'm looking for a specific fragrance review, 9 times out of 10 he's got it already, and he's introduced me to a lot of different fragrances, and his content is very unbiased. It's very straightforward, to the point. He reviews every facet video. So if you're looking for that fragrance and you need some help, he's the guy to go to. So I am doing 10. Yes, I am doing a top 10 list that he did, and I'll put his channel and video down below where you can see it. Now these are 10 fragrances that are different. They are, whether they are complex, daring, most complimented, whatever, these fragrances from my pick of fragrances, and I only really have a modest selection of fragrances, are going to be the fragrances that I recommend. So let's get to it. This one is the most expensive. Now, define expensive. For somebody, £500 or more is nothing, yet for some £50 is nothing, and yet vice versa as well. So you've got to look at it from your collection. You've got to look at it from your budget. You have to look at it from every angle. But I chose Portrait of a Lady. Now I didn't pay full retail price for this because I'm on a budget, but retail, this will sell for over £200. I think it's about £245 if you want to buy this retail. This is Dominique Ropion, Portrait of a Lady. It's the best rose and frankincense fragrance. I could have chosen other fragrance brands that I have from Montale or from Papillon, or I'm not really into a lot of niche fragrances that are expensive. I'm going to be honest, my budget is about £150 maximum. I might pay to 200. Now that's a lot for some. My husband sees this video, his eyes will be out like stalks, because for him expensive is about 50 quid. Yes, so Portrait of a Lady, a niche fragrance by Dominique Ropion, the most expensive I could really think in my collection. Next fragrance is the most kitsch, the most, some people might say tacky, but kitsch meaning the bottle has to look different. Now I don't really have many kitsch fragrances. I have a couple of Lolita Lempicka fragrances, but ultimately I went with Calvin Klein Secret Obsession, because I think this looks really kitsch, and it's a fragrance that isn't expensive. It is a lovely spicy nutmeg fragrance. The bottle is like a genie in a bottle. You just want to wipe it and a genie will appear, and I can pretend that I'm your Barbara Eden, if you know who Barbara Eden is. If you're a child of the 70s, then you'll know who Barbara Eden is. Otherwise, if you don't, well, Google her. But I Dream of Jeannie, Calvin Klein. Secret Obsession, the most kitsch. Next fragrance is the most daring. Now, it's no surprises that I chose Salome by Papillon Perfumery. However, I could have chosen a Serge Lutens or a Francesca Bianchi. They are fair. Now, to some noses, they're not daring. This may not be daring to some, but to an untrained nose, and I'm trying to say it diplomatically, but somebody who is maybe just used to celebrity fragrances or some designer fragrances and are venturing into niche, this would not be a blind buy to work on. Liz Moores, the perfumer, has created an animalic jasmine, Turkish rose, Hyraceum. It's that Hyraceum, that fossilized fecal note, which is like a musk stone, I suppose. It's been fossilized, and it is the fecal matter taken from that, combined from the rodents, combined with the jasmine and the Turkish rose. There's a little bit of I detect spiciness from the carnation in this as well. So if you're looking for an animalic scent that does verge on daring, for the bold and for the audacious, Papillon Salome is the one that I would choose. And for me, it is quite an everyday scent. But to some, it's not going to be. It is a very daring, bold, in-your-face, unapologetic scent. If you do spray a lot, somebody will know you. I spray about 3 or 4 sprays. Actually, I have to say I can't do any more than 4 sprays with this, because otherwise it's just far too potent on my skin, because it projects and it gives great sillage. So Papillon Salome is the one that I would choose in my collection to be the most daring. Liz Moores, magic. She is magic. Next one is the most versatile, and for me it had to tick all boxes. Now, I was going to choose several from Dior, or from, well, one from Dior, or from Serge Lutens. I could have chosen Fleur d'Oranger, but I chose Still by Jennifer Lopez. You know, I only recently did a video on this. This is the most versatile. Dress up, dress down, all year round. It is non-offensive, good projection, good performance. Love it. I do spray a lot of this fragrance to get projection and sillage, but if you want more, then just spray some ISO Super or some Ambroxan or something like that, just to give it more longevity if you so wish. But on my skin it lasts a good 5 hours plus, and that's good for a celebrity scent. And it is versatile. It's all year round. Dress up, dress down, casual, going out, meeting friends, doing errands. Having carnal knowledge. You know me, I have to slip in something like that. But yes, Still by Jennifer Lopez. Well, if you're doing carnal knowledge, you certainly won't be still, but you'll still be wearing this. This one is the most popular. Now, I chose Black Opium. I looked through my collection, and I think for a demographic, for a popular fragrance, for a fragrance that in my opinion is not basic, in my opinion is not ratchet, in my opinion isn't a fragrance that, it's a fragrance that is loved by a lot of people. It's not loved by everybody, but speaking to people I know, I've had people come up to me and say, or people comment and say, Black Opium, where can you get it? I love it. I really do love it. Why? Because it sells. And at the end of the day, if it sells and you're getting ka-ching, it's popular. So Black Opium is not the most coffee type scent. It just has a little smidgen of coffee in there. And you know me, I'm not a real fan of coffee scents. So for me, it's tolerable. But it's lactonic, it's creamy, it's vanilla, it's white floral, sweet. Black Opium. It's a winner, and in my opinion, the most popular. Move on to the most opulent, the most regal fragrance. The fragrance that makes you stand a little bit taller. I was going to say something else then, but I don't. It makes you stand taller. It makes you feel haughty, not naughty, haughty. It makes you feel proud. Mitsouko by Guerlain. And I chose this fragrance because it is a classic Chypre fragrance. Chypre, I love saying that word. It's Chypre to the max. It's old school, it's vintage, it's opulent, it's money that you were born into. And if you're not born into it, you will feel born into it wearing Mitsouko by Guerlain. It's a fragrance that I have grown to love. I didn't like it at first sniff, and you know me, I love vintage and old school. But when I first smelt it over 20 years ago, I was a lot younger then, I wasn't really ready for it. Now I'm ready for it. Rocking the winged eyeliner. Feeling sexy. Feeling a little bit daring, but it has a place. You feel like you're in royalty wearing really anything by Guerlain. It has a Guerlainade DNA. Mitsouko, Guerlain, classic Chypre, opulent, beautiful, regal. It's just lovely. Next one is the most linear. The fragrance that when you spray it from beginning to end, it has that linear note that runs all the way through it. It doesn't really develop, or it doesn't develop at all. And this was fairly hard to judge, really, because I do quite like fragrances that are a little bit complex and a little bit different, which I'll move on to. But however, for me, I chose Dark Purple by Montale, because at first spray it has that Montale DNA, that strong DNA. You're whether going to love it or hate it. I really like it. It's not a big love, but I really do like it. Now, my big love from Montale is Oud Purple Rose, and I'm waiting for a new Montale. Yes, Lulu, I'm looking at you when I'm talking about that. Yes. And it might not necessarily be gold flowers, Lulu. So there you go. So it might be another one. It was in your 5 or 7 that you were going to keep. I'm going to keep you guessing there. But anyway, Dark Purple. It is a rose. I feel it has an oud in there. It can be rough. Montale fragrances can be rough, but I quite like that roughness. I do quite like that roughness. But from start to finish, when I wore this, when I first spray it, I smell rose. And then all the way through, it just has those pink flowers that runs through it. But purple, it's like purple as well. And it's just, there's not much depth to it. It's just all the way from beginning to end. Montale, Dark Purple, the most linear. Next up in the category is the most cloned. Now, that could be Baccarat Rouge 540, it could be Parfum de Marly Delina or Delina Exclusive, but I went with, from my collection, Angelic Elixir from Dior, which is a clone or a dupe of Angel's Share by Klein, and it is a good dupe, it is a good clone, in my opinion. I've tried Angel's Share, I think, dare I say, it's overhyped. So for me, this one is the best boozy, cognac, apple-y, although there's no apple listed as a note, but it's there. And Angelic Elixir by Dior, let's face it, do. Yes, let's put my teeth back in. Dupes or clones, fragrances that are there to imitate or be the same as fragrances. They've been around for quite some time, but it's only in the last few years that really clone houses have really come into life. So I'm going with Angelic Elixir by Dior. If you're looking for a good dupe or a clone of Angel's Share, but you can't shed out the money, I'd recommend this. Excellent. The next one is the most complex fragrance, and that was hard to choose. But I looked on the fact that the original Angel, if I hold it up the right way, is probably the most complex fragrance when it was released in 1992. And I have a 90s formula here, and this formula is so complex with so many different notes, so many different sweet notes. It's how Angel was, not how Angel is now, but how Angel was. The sweetness is there, but the notes combined of the caramel, the berries, the patchouli, all of that, the candy floss, it's, yeah, some people might think it's basic, but I chose it over Papillon fragrances. I chose it over other houses because I wanted to look at it at that time. And we should not forget fragrances of that time in the 90s that were of a different ilk. So for me, Angel is this one. It could have been the most complimented fragrance I could have chosen for me, and I nearly did. However, I went with Pure Poison by Dior as my most complimented, because I had to think about it long and hard and come to the realization that although Angel is one of my most complimented fragrances on me, Pure Poison has got me tons and tons of compliments. This is the White Cap 2004 version. I also have a 2011 version, and I have another bottle of this, a half-size bottle of this, as a backup bottle as well, because I cannot be without this. This is one you don't overspray. This is a white floral, but on my skin it sings like a chorus of angels, and it's that orange blossom. I was nearly going to choose Fleur d'Oranger by Serge Lutens, but that was a recent acquisition. I wanted to choose something that I've had in my collection a long time, and this one, it is sandalwood, it's creamy, it's white floral, it's not too soapy. A lot of men have given me compliments on this. I could have easily chosen Allure Sensuelle by Chanel as a big compliment getter, but that's only really compliments from men. This gets me compliments from men and women, and you know it's more difficult to get compliments from Pure Poison has got me by far the most compliments out of all of the fragrances that I own, and that's saying something. Fleur d'Oranger, close second at the moment, but this wins. So for now, Pure Poison is the winner. Orange Blossom, Mandarin Orange, it's a winner, and it's got your sandalwood and your white amber, which gives it some sweetness as well. So that is my rundown of my fragrances that I feel are either the most daring, the most popular, the most complex, the most opulent. And it was fun to do. It gave me food for thought, really. Thinking about, yes, that fragrance is for that category, and that fragrance could be for that, but that fragrance fits that category. I am going to open up, like Stephen did, this tag to others in the fragrance community. Please do it. It will be lovely to see what from your different collections. I'm thinking of all the fragrance community in my head, dozens of people that, you know, what could be their most daring or their most complex or their most complimented or the most opulent. Let's get to it. You've been watching another edition of the Fragrantician. What's your New Year's resolution? If you're watching this in the new year now, what will be the resolution for you? Mine is, well, if people are jealous of you or if people are envious of you, just tell them to get well soon, because jealousy and envy is an illness after all. So until next time, I'll see you all in the next video. Ciao for now.